Hey guys, welcome to my Natural Academia, and today's video is part 2 of our obsession with hair that isn't our own texture. Alright, so something I've realized throughout my short bit of years that I've been on this earth, is that oftentimes when Black women choose to wear weave or hair that isn't their own texture, they're often criticized for having self-hate issues, suppressing their Black or African heritage, and even sometimes Black women are criticized for trying to assimilate or appease to Eurocentric standards of beauty. When it comes to self-hate, I feel like so many people overplay the word self-hate. Like, I don't even feel like we understand what self-hate means, which is why I took it upon myself to search up what the definition of self-hate is, because I really don't believe them. I mean, I know that many women do struggle with self-hate issues or accepting themselves and this, that, and the third, but I don't think that the majority of women that wear weave wear it because they absolutely hate their hair. I don't think that's what it is. So the definition of self-hate that I found on Google, you know, if you want to check my little sources, you go ahead and do so on Google. Self-hate just basically means to have an extreme amount of criticism for your own self, or believing that nothing that you do is good enough, as well as believing that you're unworthy or undeserving of good things in life. And I don't think that really correlates to what we associate self-hate as when we think about Black women wearing weave or Black women wearing hair that isn't their own texture. I don't think a lot of Black women absolutely hate their hair. I do think that there are some that, you know, just don't appreciate what God has given them. So in regards to self-hate, I really don't think that's the answer to the question that I am asking, or the question that I am trying to analyze. Why Black women choose to wear weave that isn't their own texture more than they do their own textured weaves. Now we move on to suppressing African or Black heritage. I don't want this video to be opinion based, but it's based off of my opinion regardless. As far as Black women wearing weave to suppress their African or Black heritage, I'm honestly a little bit iffy on that one, because yes and no. Yes, because I feel like a lot of times we unintentionally do things that can suppress our heritage or where we come from. Like, say for example, you grow up eating a certain thing and then you grow out of eating it because you start disliking it. I don't know. Would that be a good example? I don't think so. But y'all know what I mean. I don't really think that a Black woman wearing weave suppresses our Black heritage. I don't think that one makes sense. But as far as the appeasing and assimilating one, that one's an interesting one. I know a lot of people in the comment section about to be like, well, our hair can get straight too, or there's Black people with blonde hair, which there are. You guys, your hair can get straight too, but at the expense of what? Okay, at the expense of damaging your hair. The assimilating or appeasing to Eurocentric standards of beauty plays a major role into why we wear weave that isn't our own texture. As much as we don't want to believe it, as much as we want to throw them little Malaysian kids into the picture every single time we get to this subject, let's not pretend like straightening and manipulating our hair to the extent of which we would have to do to get our hair to look like the weaves wouldn't completely damage our hair. Let's not pretend like that doesn't damage our hair. So in my opinion, when people like to debunk the whole Eurocentric standard of beauty conversations, I feel like it's a defense mechanism, because you guys don't want to believe that might be part of the reason why we do what we do to assimilate. Let's not pretend like we don't damage our hair when we try to make it look like the weaves, okay? I feel like the history of our people, especially all around the world, and even the Black experience has taught us that Eurocentric aesthetics could be the difference between having a job and not having a job, being accepted in a place and not being accepted in a place, or being respected by people and not being respected by people. I feel like the way we carry ourselves and the way that we wear our hair, it plays a big part, especially to Black women, it plays a big part in how far we are able to get in society nowadays. I've heard countless of stories of people who have worn weave to a job interview, and then when they got the job, they just stopped, you know, wearing the weave. With all that being said, I do feel like what we wear on our head or how we style our hair does play a major role in how we are respected by people who have power over us. Nonetheless, no matter what we do to assimilate in today's culture, no matter what we do to assimilate in today's aesthetic, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when all the racism and all the discrimination and all the disrespect, when all that is said and done, we still sleep and wake up Black. So no matter what we do to assimilate in today's culture, we'll still be in one way or another disrespected by those who have power over us. That's just the hard truth. Personally, I feel like not conforming to these different standards of beauty doesn't really have an effect on our upward mobility as a people. I feel like we can get really, really far as a people if we put our heads together and not have to rely on those that have power over us to make decisions on our behalf, you know what I mean? And also not have to rely on those that have power over us to be the difference between us having a job and not having a job, you know what I mean? I feel like conforming or assimilating to their standards of beauty can only take us so far. There's only so much that we can do with ourselves and with our bodies to conform. I feel like we conform and assimilate to their standards of beauty as it means to make it out of our troubling communities and into their system, a system that wasn't even built for our success or advancement to begin with, as well as to be accepted in the society, maybe the workplace, the general public, or even to find a significant other. A lot of times, you know, women like to look good, so they're like, let me get my hair done so I can go out and potentially find somebody that has interest in me. That's just my own personal opinion, y'all. You know, I don't be out there in these streets. I don't know what y'all be doing, because if I'm going out, my hair's not done. You either like me at my worst or you don't like me at all. Now, where was I going with this? Because my brain is all over the place. But even after we've been accepted by the society who truly probably doesn't even care about our existence, even after we've been accepted by the society that we long so much for, we still have issues in our own communities that we've never addressed because, you know, we tried to level up to get out of our community. And these same issues that we have in our communities are then acknowledged by those outside of our communities, and then they replicate it, or not necessarily replicate it, but then they treat us as such, you know? They're like, oh, you guys have this issue, then we'll have that issue with you guys too. This is what I've concluded from my brain analysisness, my brain thoughts. I know this video had no type of organization, but it's because all that is what went through my mind when I came up with this. I feel like the biggest issues in the natural hair community, or the woman community, or black community, whatever you want to call it, is texturism and lengthism. Texturism, I think, is a word. I don't think lengthism is a word, because I was trying to find a formal definition of it on Google and I couldn't find one. So I think the correct term for lengthism would be length discrimination, and the correct term for texturism would be texture discrimination. As far as texturism, looser textured curls are generally more preferred than kinky or coily or coarser textured hair. With that being said, I feel like even throughout our own history, we've resorted to wearing our hair in a stretched state, blown out state, relaxed state, as well as wearing our hair in these weaves that are completely not our own texture, the weaves that are not kinky, coarse, or coily. We wear these things as a means to combat the texturism that we receive in our own communities, as well as outside of our communities, because it all starts in our communities, and then people see what's going on in the dysfunction in our communities, and then I feel like they kind of replicate it outside. But texturism issue with the whole 4A, 4B, 4C, 1A, 3, I don't even know however many it is. Y'all know I don't like the natural hair community and the typing system at all. That I feel like is an issue in itself, as well as lengthism. Lengthism, or length discrimination, in the context that I'm using it right now, basically signifies how longer hair is generally more socially acceptable than shorter hair or average length hair. And a lot of people see long hair as being more feminine or being more appropriate. So the same way that we combat texturism by wearing our hair straight, we combat lengthism by wearing these weaves that are 30, 40, 50 inches long, because we think it's cute. We resort to wearing these overly long weaves as a means to combat the issue of lengthism. I feel like because of lengthism and texturism, or length discrimination and texture discrimination, because of those two things, we came up with the terminology good hair. Do you guys see where I was going with this? Do you guys see how I tied 1, 2, 3 and got 6? Wait, what? I confused myself. But y'all know what I mean. Personally, I feel like the recipe to good hair is having hair that isn't kinky, that isn't coily, that isn't coarse, as well as having hair that's long, straight, or loose. I feel like that is a recipe to having good hair. Honestly, I've never heard someone outside of the black community say good hair. I've never heard anyone outside the black community use the terminology good hair. So I feel like personally, it starts with us. I feel like we are our biggest issue. I feel like we are our biggest problem. So far, the biggest things that I feel like have contributed to us not wearing our own textured hair is the idolization that we find in the media with these celebrities and all these influencers and stuff like that, and how when they get to the top, they don't even wear their own hair. And then we idolize the celebrities who we associate with beauty, and then we take it back to our own lives and we're like, I won't look as good as that person, so let me go throw on a wig because Megan Thee Stallion is wearing a wig. I felt like that was an interesting reason as to why we wear hair that isn't our own texture, as well as the assimilation. Assimilation, I feel like, is also one of the biggest reasons why we wear weave in today's society, to assimilate to Eurocentric standards of beauty. As much as we don't want to admit it, as much as we want to be like, well, my hair can get straight too. At the expense of what? At the expense of your hair falling out of your head. At the expense of your hair falling out of your head. Y'all don't want to admit it, but y'all know it's true. Y'all don't want to admit it, but y'all know it's true. I wanted to touch on cultural appropriation in this video and how we beg for representation so much from people, but we refuse to be the representation that we ask for. I wanted to touch on that in this video, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna make them wait. I'm gonna make them wait. Last video, I'm gonna be going off, y'all, because part 1, I was so sick and tired of seeing people type, Black women can do whatever they want with their hair. I'm Black and I do what I want. Go ahead and do you, boo. I'm allowed to have my own opinion. I'm gonna have my opinion, okay? I'm just so tired. I don't know if I'm gonna leave that in. Usually I talk my mess at the end of videos. I don't like to do it in the beginning. But if you made it this far, thank you for actually caring about what comes out of my mouth. Very much appreciated. I really appreciate you for your support. Maybe I shouldn't use appreciate twice in one sentence, but you understand what I mean. Anyways, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you for clicking on this video and watching. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to comment down below. I'll be happy to answer your comment. I try my best to answer every single comment that I get or every single question that I get, but I get a lot of comments and I get a lot of questions and I get a lot of messages. So I'm not gonna sit here and guarantee that I will reply to your message or reply to your comment, but I will try because I look at every single comment that I get when I have the time. Aside from all that, I really appreciate you guys for clicking on this video and I'll see you guys next time.